Passwords are very important for computing because they allow access into systems. So what hackers will do is use password lists to automatically try and gain access into your systems. Now there's all kind of those lists. For example, there's lists of default passwords based on the products themselves. There are weak passwords when the user set a password but it's not actually strong. There's leaked passwords, which is sensitive data that was retrieved using attacks, and also combinations of those. So for example, we can take a look at default passwords. So there are several websites we can use to visit to find those. For example, we can go to crt.net. So it seems it's loading a bit. For example, this website, and it will show you default passwords of all kind of products. So you can find routers and all kind of devices, Internet of Things and other things, and find the default passwords of those products. For example, here we have some products where it shows the default passwords. So hackers will use those default passwords to try and log in to systems. So just one of the websites, crt.net. There's many more, and you can find all kind of products with the default passwords. Now there's also a website called defaultpassword.info. So if you take a look at that website, you'll see it's similar, where you can search for a manufacturer and then sorry about that, and then find the default password of those of that device. So using websites like that, you can try to find default passwords of your target system. So that's just one of the many passwords lists you can find. Now it can also be weak passwords. So weak passwords are, for example, given in the seclists list. So you can search for that. If you search for sec lists, short for security lists, you'll see that list contains many different passwords. So if I would click on passwords here, you'll see the 500 worst passwords, most used passwords, and many other things. So if I reopen the Firefox browser, you'll see all kind of passwords lists that you can download. For example, this German password list here, French password list, and many other password lists you can find here. For example, 10 million passwords list here. And let's just pick one. Let's say the 200 most used passwords, and you'll see you have a default list of passwords here. So this collection seclist, you can download it. If you go to the web, if you just search for seclist on GitLab, you can click code and click download zip, and then you'll have all of the password lists of weak passwords. Now another list you can find is databases. So seclists contain some of them. If you go to seclists passwords leaked databases, so those are databases leaked by companies, which then have a list of plain text passwords, so passwords used by all kind of companies, so real world lists. So all of these collections of password lists, they can be used by an attacker to automatically try every password in those lists. So that's why the more passwords you have, the better, or the more likely you can break into accounts. So basically all of these are password lists, and to summarize, there's three groups of password lists. One is the default passwords, so passwords set by companies. Then there is weak passwords, so all kind of lists, all kind of weak passwords that are found. And there's leaked passwords, come out all the time, which is set by users, and then companies have a data breach, and so those passwords get exposed. And then you have leaked passwords lists, so real world password lists. And you can find all kind of lists on Kali Linux. There is one included by default. It's called rockutxt. You'll see that you can also download it from the seclists page. So if I go to the user share directory, user share, there's a directory called word lists, if I'm not mistaken. User share word list, and you'll see you have the rock.txt file automatically. So that's based on a leaked of a company. It contains many different passwords. So if I would copy this to the home directory and extract it, you'll see we have a word list. If I refresh it, we have a word list of many passwords. So I can output that. You'll see many passwords are included in that list. So that's just one of the many password lists that hackers use.